Well, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. I think I'm at that midpoint of the day. My name is Kamila Bajaria, and I come to you from Shock Digital Solutions. And I'm very excited to be here today. I think I'd call myself a New Relic groupie. I definitely love the product, and I'm a customer and utilize it to run my software as a service function for Blue. So I'm here to talk to you today about how we use New Relic for running our software as a service. And then I'd like to also share with you a little insight into our FutureStack. A lot of getting ready for this conference has inspired me to look differently at my application. And so for me, this has been a really exciting adventure to come out here and be here with you today. So one of the things that I was chatting with some folks with during dinner last night when I was introducing myself, I had folks asking me, so do you live out here in San Francisco? And I said, no, I actually came out here from Chicago. And the gentleman next to me basically said, well, that's interesting. I didn't know they did software development in Chicago. I didn't know whether to take that as a compliment or what, but I am truly inspired by what I've learned about the culture here in San Francisco. And so as I started to learn a lot about it, read a lot of its literature and poetry to get some insights, one of the things that came across as I was doing a little bit of research was this picture. And this picture, for those of you who do live here might recognize it. It's the ray gun rocket ship. And I thought to myself, well, that's interesting. It made me think of Buck Rogers. I don't know if anybody here is old enough to remember Buck Rogers or any of those cartoons, but I thought to myself, well, now that's interesting. That was from the 1930s. And most of us know, if you're looking at this rocket ship and think to yourself, well, gosh, that rocket ship can't really fly. You know, it doesn't really meet the qualities of the physics and what's needed to make it fly. It's a symbol. It's a symbol of the future that never was, the potential of being able to fly and go into space. And that's really the essence of where I feel my team and I are at right now in terms of our next evolution of our product. It's starting to plant the seeds for imagination and thinking about what's possible. And I was really inspired when I learned about this sculpture and starting to kind of understand the essence of what it means to imagine and to dream and to have that innovative spirit that Lou spoke about this morning, that all ideas are great ideas. And when you think about a rocket ship, you think 30 years later, we did actually fly to the moon. So it is one of those things where I think in terms of where we're at, from a timing perspective, it's a great time to be in software, and it's a great time to be imagining and dreaming about what's coming next. So I'm thinking back to my team. They're all in Chicago, kind of rooting for me, and I thought to myself, how can I really describe the sense of the team that I have today? My team is a fun and creative group, and again, I was inspired by this rocket ship, so I think about folks that love to dream up new ideas, and so I was really inspired when I started learning more about the team that was actually responsible for developing the rocket ship sculpture. Like them, my team loves to experiment with new ideas. They love to try things, and they're very focused on what they do. They're very passionate about our product, and so we're a small team. I have 15 folks across the globe that essentially are responsible for delivering our software as a service capability, and none of that would be possible without tools like New Relic. I've lived my life in operations. My background is in financial services. I've spent the majority of my life in enterprise IT, and I was being asked a couple of times as I've gotten to know all my friends here, What brought you to the company where you work now at Shock Digital Solutions? It was an opportunity to start to work in a software as a service model, and I never want to go back. So just to tell you a little bit about SGK and who we are. Who is SGK? Well, if you pick up a bottle of soda, you pick up anything that really comes in a container, a bottle of aspirin, a box of Kleenex, anything that really comes in a box or a package typically has artwork on that package. It could have nutrition labels. It can have information about the product, but most importantly, the identity of the company is on that product, the branding. Okay, so we are a company, we are 3,600 experts across the world that are responsible for running our application called Blue that basically puts all of that information on those packaging innovation and solutions. So you kind of got a little bit of a background. Some of those photographs kind of give the nostalgic feel for our process that is needed in order to actually do a lot of this work. But we have, this year is a very special year for our company. We're celebrating our 60th anniversary. And so our founder, Clarence Shock, he started our company in his basement 60 years ago, and so it's a very exciting time to be a part of our company, to see it evolve into this new era of software as a service. So this is our Blue application running on an iPad. So we recently rolled out this kind of functionality. So again, Blue is basically an application that's used to automate the production of creating content for applications. So essentially, it's a workflow product, and our core competency is the workflow, okay? But the workflow is really the heart and soul of our product. But in order to have it do all of the things that I described in terms of the quality of the artwork, we have other supporting components of our technology that enable us to do that. So what I did here is, instead of showing the traditional picture of servers and technical infrastructure architecture, I modeled our software as an ecosystem, really a solar system of our core application product and all of its supporting functions. So our core application product essentially orchestrates all of the functional pieces that make up Blue. So we have a rendering engine, a proofing engine, we have an analytics capability, a business intelligence capability, and the architecture is very unique in that it's a mashup. It essentially is an application that's written in Java on a Windows platform, but it also has components of it that are open source. And so we have this wonderful integration of our core product with all of these functional capabilities that are driven by our workflow engine. So like most companies that go through this evolution, you typically start as packaged software, then you evolve into what's called an ASP. And where we are is we're software as a service, and we're aspiring to get to that next level of being what I like to call our future stack. The way this is going to happen for us is definitely tied into our ability to leverage analytics. So what I want to talk about next is how we're going to go about doing this. So I definitely want to convey a sense of progression in terms of being able to go from the idea phase to the realization phase of delivering this kind of capability. So what I did is I went out there and researched a number of the trends that are going on in the industry right now. And of course, all of these trends aren't necessarily, just like fashion, may not actually be a trend I could actually pull off or necessarily aligned with my application, but I definitely picked the ones that I thought aligned very strongly with the future direction of our product. So the first is consumerization of business technology. We all know we're all tied to our mobile devices. I work in operations. This is probably the first time I've been away from my phone for more than 5 minutes. I'm feeling kind of a sense of awkwardness without actually having my phone in hand. I'm never very far away from it. As Lou was stating earlier this morning, operations is a 24/7 job, and it's a job that really requires, you to have your mobile device and your those types of tools at your disposal so that you're able to meet your SLAs. So what I wanted to do is, with each one of these trends, give you some indication of how we are able to meet these trends today, and then what we're going to be doing in the future as I start to develop this concept of what my future stack will look like. So today, New Relic is a huge part of our being able to achieve consumerization of our business technology. The blue interface, as I just showed you, has been adapted to work on an iPad. And we use tools like New Relic to be able to understand how our customers are using our product. For the future, I'd like to be able to leverage self-provisioning, and I also want to be able to have my blue application translate the user interface from one form factor to another. Another trend that I thought aligned very closely with our product is our continuous delivery methodology, always rolling out new features, being able to keep those new features always on trend, as I like to call it. So provisioning of our New Relic has been instrumental in being able to always have that continuous feedback loop, so that we always know what's happening with our product, how it's running, and how it's running across the globe. When you try to deploy an application overseas, one of the challenges you can run into is network latency. So our ability to have those metrics at our fingertips, we have it on a dashboard in our NOC, is critical to our success. We have a relentless focus on meeting our availability goals and our SLAs with our customers. So for the future, I want to continue leveraging New Relic in order to make my team even more successful at leveraging our analytics. So I want to start moving into techniques like crowdsourcing, where I can start to get and tap into social media to help drive my product innovation. Externalize anything that is not core. This is very important. We want to specialize and focus on the things that are most important to us. So we want to be able to focus on what we do best, and that's developing our blue product and being able to make sure that our workflows are operating the best that they can. We don't want to be distracted with activities around managing our infrastructure or distracted with things that are not our core competency. So we definitely love our New Relic relationship because it allows us to focus on supporting our tool and having these metrics available to us so that we can proactively manage our environment and our service. For the future, I want to be able to leverage infrastructure as a service and platform as a service so I can have a single-click button deployment of my application. Having self-healing applications that are elastic and intelligent is definitely an area that I want to explore even further. As I start to move my application into the cloud, that's one of the key aspects that I want to leverage out of deploying in the cloud, is being able to take those metrics, feed them into my application, and then have my application self-correct whenever there are changes, for example, in how the application is being used. So I want to be able to leverage these performance metrics from New Relic, feed them into my application, and be able to have my application respond to that data. In the future, I want to be able to automate capacity provisioning. One of the most difficult challenges is when we roll out new functionality in our product, we have to be ready in case if there's a ramp up in utilization of those resources. So I definitely want to use the capacity measurements and the server data in order to make sure that my infrastructure is operating smoothly. I also want to be able to develop provisioning scripts to be able to set up my application so that it can self-install in the cloud. Last but not least, I wanted to mention the most, I think, important aspect of a trend that I looked at, and that is business and technology roles converging. More and more and more, I've been working very closely with our marketing group, and we're starting to see definitely a closer collaboration between marketing and IT. So we're starting to go in a direction where marketing is helping to drive the technology innovation more and more. So what I've been trying to do is work closely with marketing so that we're able to leverage social media to be able to continue to improve our product and add functionality that people are looking for and what our clients really, really need from Blue. So, as you can probably tell by looking at all this research into these trends are rapidly changing the way Blue is developed and delivered to our customers. So as I start to think about the future and dream about the future, this is really what I want Blue to be. I want Blue to be an orchestration of excellent components and respond automatically based on APM metrics and analytics that come from tools not only like New Relic, but being able to leverage analytics from all kinds of sources. So one of the things we did is we developed what I like to call our SaaS value hierarchy. To make sure we can prioritize our innovation activities, one of the things that we do is we try to align around this type of a model. The foundational items, availability, cost to serve, and confidence are typically, if you're in a software as a service function, it's what everybody does. If you are in the business of software as a service, you have to be able to do all of those things and do them well. What differentiates you is being able to focus your time on the things above that line. Being able to be fast, be able to generate new functionality quickly, be able to deploy natively on a mobile device, be able to integrate new functionality when it's not your core competency, and then really the area that I think brings you the most reward and return on investment are your insights, your ability to utilize analytics and social networking to help drive the development of your product. So this visual tool is very helpful to my team and I to help us prioritize when we want to innovate and talk about, where are we spending our time? Are we spending our time primarily on these foundational activities? Are we spending the majority of our time focusing in on security, our cost to serve, or are we spending our time on being able to integrate tools? One of the key components of our product suite is our amazing BI capability, and it is an open source capability that's just phenomenal. So, with that said, I'm kind of rolling out our new Blue FutureStack. This is the dream that I love to dream with my team as we're back at our offices in Chicago innovating for the next step and evolution of our product. And essentially, this is what it's going to look like, or some proximity thereof of what the rocket ship inspired for travel to space. So I want to be on a cloud service, on a cloud platform. I want to be able to pull out capacity metrics. I want to be able to feed those capacity metrics through New Relic, so I'm able to gauge the performance of my application all over the world. I want to be able to have application logic baked in that will be able to respond to those metrics and automatically scale my application so that it is performing in the most optimal way possible. And then, of course, on the top, what you see is probably the biggest challenge for most operations organizations, and that is to be able to always be on top of diagnosing root cause for issues and problems. That's one of the areas that always requires a lot of insight into having those metrics at your fingertips. And so one of the things we want to do is be able to tap into our social media engine through Facebook, through Twitter, through our Google Analytics, be able to pull that information into our development, our DevOps team, and be able to leverage that in terms of how we're able to evolve Blue. So in summary, I want to be able to leverage the cloud. I want to be able to utilize my automation via my DevOps team. I want to also start to move towards a NoSQL, unstructured data source. And I want to continue to be able to use the best of breed technologies to help me keep Blue marketable and relevant and useful to my customers. As Lou said, to create solutions that delight my customers. So how do we get there? It sounds pretty easy. As we all know, software development sometimes definitely has its challenges, but I tried to put together a roadmap essentially of where we are and where we're trying to go. And essentially the first two areas, you're really spending a lot of your time fixing stuff that breaks, which is really what the operations team sometimes ends up doing. And so I consider those types of activities to fall under basic competency. And if you see that, I kind of tried to characterize what that is. Those types of activities are typically installing quarterly releases, creating checklists so that you have a repeatable process, spending a lot of time on problem management. Okay, so at one point in time, I would say my team kind of did a lot of that. If you kind of took a day in the life of what an engineer on my team was doing, this is what they were doing. They were spending the majority of their time doing these types of activities. Instead, what I want to do is I want to start moving my team towards working towards the activities that you see are under quality and efficiency improvement, evolution, and then ultimately that really exciting adventure of being in what I consider to be that future stack or that future state of revolution. Okay? So when I think about quality and efficiency improvement, we're talking about a virtualized infrastructure. I have a dedicated service desk, and I spend a lot of time creating repeatable processes based on ITIL, for example. When I want to evolve from that, I can measure and improve application performance. I want to automate the prioritization of my problems. I want to develop very clear root cause analysis of my problems. I have shared tenancy for my clients, and I spend a lot of time automating. And that actually characterizes where I am today. I'm in that evolution phase, and it's a great place to be. But an even greater place to be is in that revolution, that future stack within the next couple of years, where I want to be able to accurately measure my customer experience. I want to manage a single version of Blue. I want to have self-evident functionality. I want to have an elastic public cloud infrastructure. I want to have a series of continuous small releases that are always what my customer wants. And most importantly, I want my engineering team, my gifted engineering team, to spend time on product innovation driven by social media. So, one of the things as I started to think about how I can even wrap up this experience of what it's been like, again, I think back to the inspiration of my rocket ship. And I think back to all the engineering teams I've led in the past, where you always have that person who says, no, it can't be done. Well, I always feel like, the critical success for my team are having folks that say yes to new ideas. So I really felt that this was a great summary of what this experience is going to be like and what my journey is going to be like for my team and I, and that is to always feel like we have a voice to paint and to always feel like we can be creative and innovate with our product. So I want to leave you with the words of Ina Donna Coolbrith. It is magical to me to be here in San Francisco. It is a beautiful place full of culture and art and great ideas. And when I read this poem, it really struck me as something that really symbolized that timelessness of being able to capture a moment through her eyes when she looked at San Francisco and looked at the city and thought about how do I capture what I'm seeing. And when I read her words, I really feel like I'm seeing the city through her eyes and feel the same things about it being a city of myths and of dreams. So she was actually the first, as I understood it, the first poet laureate of not only California, but of the United States as a woman. So she definitely meant a lot to me to be inspired by her words. So thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. Are there any questions I can answer? It's a quiet group. Okay, well, if you do have any questions that come up later, you'll find me here wandering the halls and attending the presentations. But I thank you for your time and really appreciate your attention. And again, if you have any questions, just let me know. It's been my pleasure.